Bienvenidos a SR Podcast. I'm here with mi co-host Mark. Mark, saludas a los fanáticos, por favor.
Yo,
Ain't no yo
Hola,
aquí.
hola, how
No,
everybody
no,
doing over there? Hey, with
eh,
me co-host Victor.
esto es un show de español. Ain't no good morning or good afternoon. Español o es que he goes to Mexico and he don't come back with no Spanish.
Look, I definitely was getting the feel for it. I think another week I would have been solid.
You're fluent.
It was just hard, trying to soak in and relax for the vacation time. And then, you telling me to try to be educational too at the same time in the vacation time. It's kind of hard. But if I was there for another week, I think I would have been fine.
Okay. ¿Cómo
Yeah,
estás,
how are
güey?
you?
¿Cómo estás, güey? No. How are you? ¿Cómo estás, güey?
¿Cómo está, güey?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute. I had like a bunch of stuff that I was like ready to talk about. And like I was like, oh, I got great stories for this man. And I'm sure he has some great stories too. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
First, we got to get to the fact that the city is collapsing and we didn't have clean air. You left for a week and the world fell apart. I just want you to know that.
Am I the piece that holds Philly together?
I don't know. It seems like it, but then I was going to say that. And then yesterday, a bridge collapsed or a highway collapsed. So,
yeah, I don't even want to talk on this episode about my trip. I think it's just, I want to focus so much just on this issue with Philly, just because like me just getting back home right now made me really just think like, yo, I have such a hatred for the city and it's kind of annoying. I really do. And it was just already a build up from work because I'm like, okay, I knew we set this thing up at 7 and I'm like, yo, I would have been good. Even with the traffic that I knew was coming, I knew I would have been good. But then there was issues at work that have me backed up. And I was like, bro, this is already annoying because then that set me back. And I already knew I had to go home, which was going to set me back. So I was just like a little annoyed. And then with just the idea of the fact that like, again, this 95 wants to be destroyed. And I'm just like, it just made it worse. And I was like, oh my God, I hate this city. Like it gets on my nerves.
yeah. So for y'all that are unaware, maybe people who aren't from this area that would know, the I-95 is a highway that runs. I mean, it runs along like beyond PA, like it runs like basically like most of the East Coast.
Yeah.
But it's one of the main highways here in Philadelphia, and a huge portion of it just collapsed because there was a tanker truck that carried gasoline that crashed underneath it, and it was burning underneath the I-95 highway like an underpass, and I guess it just like burnt away at the materials holding the bottom of it up, and it collapsed. So like a good like was it 6 or 7 exits have been blocked off basically because that section's closed off.
Yep.
And they closed off in both directions because it goes north and south, and they closed off the south and the north side just because they're unsure that maybe some of the fire damage has spread over to that side as well, which is causing just a huge issue. It hasn't even really started yet. Like, thank God, like school's over for the most part, and like that's not an issue, but that's going to cause a huge problem for people going to work, which means all those people that normally take 95 are going to go to other highways and other streets. So just driving down there is just going to be awful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I had to take a different way to work today. Didn't even touch 95 at all. So yeah, I already knew it was going to be an issue. I left early and I was like, cool. But then leaving today, like, I don't know what it was up on my Apple Maps, but this is just Apple Maps.
I don't use
people
Apple
know
Maps.
that. Yeah, I mean, I usually do it sometimes because sometimes they're a little bit better with figuring out the exact fastest way. Because Google will sometimes put like a bunch of different ways, and sometimes they just never give you the exact. At least that's for me. But sometimes I use Apple. But just in this recent time, me trying to use it, it was just terrible because it kept trying to send me on 95, but I couldn't get on 95. And it just had me keep trying to go and make a U-turn on the same street to try to get on. And I'm like, bro, I can't go up this way. So I had to completely ditch Apple and I went to Google, and it kind of helped me better to a point where I can actually get on 95 where I was able to get on there and then was able to kind of zoom and get back home. But yeah, it was just, I don't know what it was, bro. It was terrible.
See, Google Maps came through. Some people be using Waze. I don't use Waze. My mom used Waze.
Yeah, that's an older generation.
But like Waze is kind of cool that it can let you change the voice that's on there. So like I kind of like Waze for that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, Waze be telling you. We used it. We were going somewhere as a group, and my mom used the Waze to like guide us there, and it was on like the car's Bluetooth, and Waze tells you every detail that's on the road. Like it'll tell you it's like, oh, like cop car approaching, pothole, speed bump, and it just stopped the music every 5 seconds. And my dad was driving. He's like, yo, this thing don't shut up. Like I'm tired of it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it came out today after like I guess they looked at the rubble of everything that the driver of the truck that caused everything to happen did pass, or like they found their remains underneath all the rubble, which is unfortunate. I was kind of curious as to like what exactly led to everything happening. Like you would think they would be able to move the car
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. So I was like, because it just happened. Right now we're recording this on Monday. It happened Sunday, so you already know that there's already like a billion questions going on trying to figure out what exactly caused it all. But yeah, bro, that was like the last strike before you even got back here. You didn't even like. Were you like tapped in at all to what was going on over here, or were you just kind of like, yo, I'm in a different country. I don't even want to hear about Philly.
So part of me was on that, like, I'm just in a different country. I just don't give a shit about what's happening over here in Philly. But I started to have a lot of curiosity. I knew it wasn't just Philly. It was like, Jersey, New York, again, like PA, like air quality situation and stuff like that. So because of that, I was just like, okay, yeah, I need to like, I wanted to kind of figure out a little bit as to like what was happening with like the whole air situation because I looked at that, John, and to me, I thought it was like we were playing like fucking zombies and shit. Yeah, like in the zombies map and shit. The way the air was looking, I'm like, oh shit, what's going on over there?
Yeah,
Like, yo,
I saw.
so it kind of got me a little worried.
Yeah, I saw like there's a picture of New York that's like really like wild when you look at it because it's like everything just looks so orange and so cloudy. But I just immediately thought like it's just like the Black Ops 2 map, like Transit, where you were just basically walking through all that. So I was like, damn, it's kind of spooky.
Right, this sounds kind of crazy. But if there's one thing I will share, I guess, from my trip is that this is the only thing I'll share from it. But it was funny because while that was happening, where I felt like I heard the most, me and Emily were out at a restaurant, whatever. We weren't out. We were in the resort, but there was a
It
restaurant in
was
the
like
resort.
underneath or like at the
Um,
base floor.
and that day it was like really kind of like raining, like heavy. Um, and yeah, so we're there, like trying to like about to eat or whatever, and the lights kind of shut off. We're just like, oh shit, what the hell happened? And then within like maybe like 10 seconds, they come back on. We're like, okay, cool. That's what's up. And then again, it happened like maybe like 15 minutes later, it shut off and then turned back on again. And we're like, all right, this is kind of this is kind of happening kind of often here. Long story short, it happened probably again, maybe like another 3 times. That's about it. And then like again, like fifth or sixth time, it happened and it just never came back on.
Nice.
So yeah, Wednesday night power literally shut off while we were eating. The people there were still very friendly and helpful.
They're probably used
They're
to it.
trying to, yeah, exactly. So they're giving us peace of mind or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be like too upset about it again. Like, I know where we're at. So it's not like I'm expecting like, you know, United States type of like,
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm like, chill. It's fine. They had candles. They accommodated us for the most part and everything as much as they could. Um, but yeah, it just was still pitch black. And we basically had to navigate with our flashlights on our phone back to our room. We did that. Again, no power. So literally, when I mean to tell you this, the whole resort was literally pitch black. Like the whole resort was literally pitch black. Like it felt like that's why it was funny is because like seeing y'all over here with this whole issue with like
Mm-hmm.
the way it looked kind of so post-apocalyptic, everything like that. That's kind of how it felt for me too, because like what I mean to tell you,
Everything was simultaneous. So it was just like,
yeah, and I mean to tell you, like that shit was pretty fucking creepy. Like
Yeah.
when you're in a building like that's that big with no power, like
Hallways that just go.
yeah, like bro, I was low key like kind of scared at one point. Like, and then we had the balcony too, so we like looked out there, and you just like literally again, it's pitch black, and the only thing you can see that has light is the moon. The moon is the only thing that has light giving it to us.
Damn, that sounds mad poetic.
The moon is the only thing giving us light. But yeah, like that shit was creepy. And again, just looking out into everything inside the resort, it was just like, bro, it was kind of creepy because again, it was still kind of raining, in a sense. And yeah, like a lot, there was like some puddles everywhere. We're just like, bro, this shit's crazy. But eventually, again, we went downstairs to the lobby to see what was up. Cause again, we were expecting maybe like, okay, hour at most, they probably would have this off.
Right.
But it was like getting past that. We're just like, okay, what's going on? So we head downstairs and we basically talk to another like person that's staying there. And he's like, oh yeah, he was like, they told him that it was going to take like 4 hours for it to come back on. And we're like, bro, what the hell? 4 hours? And it was already, I think, like at this point, like 9 o'clock at night, like 9:30. And we're
So
like, bro,
so the night's over. So unless you
then
go find
yeah,
something else to do, then
basically there is nothing else we can do. Cause again, it isn't like here where like if you try to like leave the resort, there's a bunch of light or whatever. Like, bro,
hmm
there's just trees. So
yeah.
again, looking out past the resort, it's literally pitch black. Like there's literally like nothing we can do.
So it's like, all
Um,
right, guys, who wants to play Mexican Manhunt?
yo, like I remember Emily said that she's like, yo, you know, it'd be really crazy if you just played like I thought of hide and seek, but she was like manhunt, and I was like, yo, that should be kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, it was like I said, pitch black, and it kind of got us irritated because not only did the electricity not work, the plumbing also wasn't working.
So you couldn't
So
shower, or you couldn't like,
you couldn't
or
shower, you couldn't wash your hands, you couldn't use the sink, and toilets weren't working. So
nice. So
yeah.
y'all was shitting on each other's shit.
No, as far as ours, we didn't do anything like that. You know, we went number one for the most part.
uh,
We kept it
poop.
classy
You
in
guys
our
kept it classy. Pooped over the balcony.
no, no, not that. No, we just pooped in like the public bathrooms. So we
Ah,
went
so
to
you guys are
those.
douchebags. I know.
Yeah, I don't care, bro. Yo, that it was terrible. Like that, like I give them credit where credit is due. The resort in itself was amazing. I cannot complain about that. But that one little incident kind of like took it from being a 10 to like maybe an 8, 8.5
that
because
that
like
that had y'all American and y'all popping up. Y'all was just like,
yeah.
this is an outrage. I don't have light. I need to
like
be compensated. I need a
I
continental breakfast now, Julio.
right. I think what got me was just the idea that there was no like AC. Like I'm fine with going if we're going out, cool. Like I'm expected to be hot. I'm not gonna
Mm.
complain about the sun sunning, you know, like the sun's gonna do its thing over in Mexico.
That's what we flew here
Cool.
for. It's for some heat.
Exactly. I'm not complaining about that. What I was complaining about is that when I went to go to sleep, it felt like I was outside, sleeping outside the whole night. And that's kind of where it got me.
Yeah.
And I just like I hate sleeping and
Hot.
feeling hot.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling. So I managed to get through the night, but again, it still kind of pissed me off. And then the next morning, Emily kind of lost her shit. So she was just kind of really annoyed because it literally didn't come back on, bro, until like 9:30 in the morning the next day.
Oh
Like that's
damn.
how long it was from that time last night till the next morning, like 9:30, 10. It didn't come back on. And yeah, that was that. But kind of it was an eventful, I guess I would say.
Trip. You gotta
Yeah.
have your lows to appreciate the highs. You know what I mean? It can't just be
Mhm.
all rainbows and
Exactly.
unicorns.
Exactly. And
You
we
gonna look back
realized
and be
that.
like, "Yo, you remember when you have toilet? That it was crazy. Oh my
Yeah,
god!"
like we were talking about, we were like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's still like a memory to kind of look back on and like kind of laugh about. But
Like, you remember when you snapped on Ricardo, Emily? That was crazy.
right? Like it was for the most part chill for that. But again, it was kind of annoying just because like, yeah, I needed that AC. I wanted to just take a shower just from being hot and all that shit. And you couldn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Then it was just like they couldn't give you an answer. They're like, oh, they're still working on it. We're like, who? Who's working on it?
Yeah,
Because
but you know what
like,
it's like to be in that position.
I
Like from
get
your
that,
jobs,
right?
like it's just like, yo, like I'm just at the front desk, bro. Like I tell you what they tell me. I'm not out
Yeah.
there in the power
I
plant.
I understood that 100%, but it was more so like I felt like they weren't in themselves communicating the best way that they could have because unless we went down there,
They
they didn't
You're
tell
right.
you anything. You had to go down there, that you had to like get as much as you
I
could.
mean,
It
there was no
was
power pop. What you want? They wasn't gonna hit you
bro,
on the intercom.
they used their legs and go to the room and
Door to
tell
door.
me like I don't know. It was just they could have just gave me just a tiny bit more, but again, I'm not going to complain anymore.
Yeah.
It's fine. It is what it is.
I didn't want to cut you off while you were telling your story initially, but when you were telling me like at the very beginning when you were in the restaurant and like power was on and it cut out and then it came back on and cut back out, I just kept couldn't help but think of like the power cut out and then like one person's like stabbed in the corner like and then it's like wait what's going on? It's like the power's back. I was like oh my god. And then it cuts out and then somebody else got stabbed. It's like oh what's going on here? It's like
So we thought about that too. If it was like kind of like a murder mystery type
yeah,
thing,
because
and we were like,
what's that Adam Sandler movie with
it's literally called murder mystery. I think.
yeah with what's her name?
um, begins with an A, right? Um,
Damn, bro, this is insane. Why? How can we forget the
as
Jennifer Aniston?
Jennifer Aniston. I said A. Her last name begins with an A.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we thought about that too. And the restaurant that we went to was kind of like more of like a 9-course meal restaurant, so it was a lot
I
fancier
saw
than the other one.
y'all had like a Lego playing in cocaine.
Okay, no, it wasn't a cocaine. It wasn't a
She
cocaine.
said it was El Nino playing in Nieve or something like that. That's snow is cocaine. Okay.
Snow,
And
snow,
it was a
snow
gold
is snow.
Lego.
Snow is snow.
In
But
Mexico, snow ain't snow. They ain't
you're
no
right. You're
snow
right.
in Mexico.
You're right. You're absolutely right. There isn't.
So they knew what they were saying.
Um,
Now
yeah.
you
So
thinking about it.
exactly. Now I'm thinking about it. It's starting to hit me now. What did I eat? What did they actually put into my system? Um, but yeah, it was like that. So in our head, again, since it was like the whole kind of experience thing, we were like, oh, maybe this is part of the experience. And the lights shut
I
off.
know
And shit.
some like like it's a whole bunch of like people come out as like freaking Coco or something.
Exactly. And they had like another room that was kind of like a dining room with a bunch of tables. Like it was a long table and a bunch of chairs. And that restaurant only like allows a certain amount of people. Like it gets reserved pretty quick. So it
Mm,
was probably about like 6 different tables, two like each for the most part. There was like 2 people there that they were by themselves, but for the most part, it was like one, two, including us, that was three. So two, four, six, and then seven. It's probably like 8 people in total. But in my head, I'm thinking like, yo, like it'd be tough if like they all put us into that one room and we all just ate together. And it was kind of like that like scene where we had to just basically figure out something. Like that would have been tough.
It's like, oh, this is dinner, but it's also an escape room. Get ready, guys.
I just locked the doors. Now you have to figure it out.
First person to get out doesn't have to pay for the tab.
Right. But yeah, so that's what we thought. But overall, like I said, that experience was the dinner was good. The after part of it was kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Some of I didn't know what I was looking at in some of the photos y'all posted, to be honest. Some of them it was like, all right, like that's like clam or something, or like
Yeah.
oyster. Then there was other stuff I was like, yo, I can't identify what they eat in. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. I ain't
I
gonna
was like, is that
lie.
coral? I was like, what?
Yeah, that first one was like a toast. It was weird. They had like a bunch of stuff on it, but in itself, you picked it up and ate it. And it was really good. It had like a bit of a garlic taste to it or whatever, but that was good. All of it was good. There was like one drink that I just didn't like. It was a certain type of wine. And I literally told Emily, and she kind of agreed with me too. And it literally tasted like sachichas. And I just, yeah,
Was it like a Bloody
exactly.
Mary or something? Or I don't know.
I don't know. It was like a wine, and I tasted it. And at first, it kind of hit me weird. And I was like, so I took another sip and I was like, make sure. So I drank it and I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it tasted like. It literally tasted like if you were to eat a salchicha from the can, that's literally how it tasted.
I
And
would
I
have
was
socked the waiter if that's what my drinks tasted like. I'm not gonna lie to you.
like, I'm not, it didn't taste like fully like it, but the
I
background
don't
taste.
care if a hint of it was in there. I'm fighting him. You
Yeah.
probably pissed off the waiter. He was like, you know what? Let me just boop.
Nah, like it was just that. Overall, though, everything else tasted really good. And for the first time, I tasted quail. And let me just say, quail is like amazing. Like
Like quail egg or like quail the bird?
the bird.
Okay.
Yeah, it tasted amazing. It was that one that had like it was just a little ball and it had a stem on it.
Oh, it was like a fried ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had
And it was
like
like
it
some
kind
green
of
sauce or something. Or am I confusing with a
no.
different one? I saw like a little, like a coated ball that was like look fried and it had like a little stick out of it. Was it a leaf?
Yeah, it was like a leaf.
I was making a joke. I said it looked like a piece of a Christmas tree, like a fake Christmas tree branch.
Yeah, it was like that. And then again, it was like stabbed in it. It kind of had like a white gravy sauce, I think, on it or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing out of all the things we had. It was just so good. But yeah,
Yeah.
tried quail, and I'm like, man, I think I want to try this again sometime.
Well, while you were in paradise, it turned into Mad Max over here, and we didn't know what to do, bro. Canada was on fire, and then New Jersey was on fire. Literally, like an hour away from me, the whole like a whole wildfire happened,
Oh,
and that's when it got to us. Canada has been burning for weeks, like it's really bad over there, and it was like hitting New York. But then New Jersey happened, so they was just caught in this in between of just smoke. So it was wild. And Quentin work up there, so he had sirens going off. I'm over here. I step outside. I'm like, it smells like somebody's barbecuing in my face. Like, like you ever stood near like you ever had a closed grill and you like stood near
you
somebody,
open it
opened
up.
it, and all that smoke just hit you. That's what it smelled like all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I shouldn't be breathing this in. And I had to go to work. Everybody, they didn't close work, nothing. They didn't change nothing. The sky was orange, bro. The sun was red. It was pure red at like 5 o'clock. It made no sense. So I'm wearing a mask again on my way to work. I'm like, yo, what is this? I'm getting flashbacks. I'm stressed out. I'm like, I don't want to need to have another repeat of this. How long is this gonna last? It only lasted a couple of days, thankfully. But then I'm like, this is wild. And you look at all the videos, and then they said it was like, oh, if you stand out in New York for an hour right now, where it was like at its peak, is the equivalent of smoking 6 cigarettes. And I was like,
Jesus.
that's insane, bro. I'm like, bro,
You know, keep
I'm like,
going.
I'm like, bro, there's homeless people. Like, there's like, they have to live out there 24/7. That's 24 hours. That's like 130 cigarettes. Like,
I'm
ain't
just
it? In 24 hours, bro. That's like 10 plus packs.
I'm just thinking like all the smokers are probably having a blast out there. Like, yo,
Yeah.
let's come outside.
There's this one boy out there that's on TikTok that he makes like baseball videos and like an accent. It's funny. But he went out there, he just literally like 3 times in one video, he said, I'm just, I already smoke. So he just like mad hard, like a couple of times, like, bro, go inside.
I'm saying,
Like, how
bro.
you not start coughing up blood? Like, it's like particles in the air.
Yeah,
But
bro.
yeah, that joint was scary. It was like a bunch of fires. And then not too long after, literally, like, when it was at its worst over here, it rained. So I'm like, bro, like, this is like acid rain, low key. Like, all that's just dropping to the floor. Like, is the water supply? Are we gonna have another one of those days where we got to run to the store and fight each other? But the smoke was really bad. The smoke, like the smoke index, all of a sudden everybody knew what a smoke index was. On the Apple phone and the weather, it was like on a regular day, it's like 50 to 60. The air index was at 400, and the little map was pure purple at one point, and it
Jesus.
was raining and like it was dark out, bro. You couldn't see the sky. We didn't see the sky for 3 days.
Wow.
I didn't see a cloud, the sun, nothing.
It's kind of crazy.
It was,
Just hearing it is kind of crazy.
and you weren't here, bro. I was scared and I needed you here and you left. That's all I'm trying to say here. That's
Look,
the whole point of the story.
I couldn't prepare for what happens in the future. Okay.
And then that truck thing happened, and 8,500 gallons of gas went to the water supply again. So there's that. There's a boil water order in parts of Philadelphia, which is just great. Um, so you might not have plumbing again, Mark. Sorry to tell you. That's what you get for leaving.
It doesn't leave. It's following me all the way back
It's a
here.
butterfly effect, bro. If you didn't get on that plane, the skies would have been clear and that man wouldn't have crashed underneath the
You
95.
think me not getting on that plane would have somehow made the fires in Canada just autonomously just stop
No, the one
completely?
in Canada already happened. The one in Jersey, though, happened when you left.
Okay. So supposedly my plane caused
Yes,
that fire.
because there's a chain reaction there. You know what happened? You know when they say like you stomp on a butterfly in Philly and then a volcano in Japan erupts? That's what
Mhm.
happened.
Hmm. Interesting. So I
So
left on a plane and somehow I left marks back here.
yeah, so more of the story is that this is all your fault. So
Got it. I got it. I'm sorry,
yeah,
everybody from New York to PA,
yeah,
Jersey too.
it was insane, bro. And it's like I was having this conversation earlier. It's like this is happening like very frequently now, and it's getting very weird because it was just like the what was it like in May or April when that whole stuff happened where everybody's running. We got the text alert saying like go grab bottles of water because the water's not clean. And then we had this whole air thing happen to us. Now we have this N95 thing happen. It says it's going to take a couple months to fix. The 95 has been getting fixed since
It's a
I was
year, bro.
12. So,
It's a year
and
and a
it
half.
hasn't fixed, bro. And now this happened. It literally starting from scratch, boom, collapsed. And they said
Yeah.
it's going to take a couple months. We're going to treat it as an emergency. Bro, it's going to be this time next year, and there's going to be cones and blockages everywhere. They're not
You,
fixing nothing, bro.
you know what they're gonna do? They're just going to open a lane from the other side, have people use that. They're gonna somewhat have a start on fixing it,
Yeah.
and that's just going to take for about the next like 12
They're going
years.
to set up shop and never come back.
Exactly. They're going to set it up to where you think, okay, cool, they're getting somewhere. But again, they just opened up a lane. So they're probably going to take 2 lanes from the other one, have people use that. And then the other lane's going to be kind of fucked too. It's just going to be terrible.
And
It's just
then
going to be
the
terrible.
amount of accidents that are going to come out of that are going to be astronomical because
And then when one accident happens, that's
it's
it.
going to block because there's one lane.
Exactly. So it's over. So if one person gets in an accident, you could just forget about getting to where you needed to go. You're
Yeah.
done. Like it's terrible. So yeah,
So
I think I would just probably avoid 95 at this point for a good amount of
ever.
time. Yeah. Yeah,
Unless
forever, honestly.
if you're going north, if you're going to north to northeast Philly, just, south, I guess cool. I don't know why you ever want to go to south, but
Yeah. For
but it
me,
is what it is.
unfortunately, where I have to go back home is technically towards south if I'm
Just
down
take the
that way.
roads,
But yeah.
take the boulevard.
Yeah, it's a shame. The boulevard, which is only 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, now I miss the old boulevard.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like imagine,
Like yeah,
man,
people
now,
ruined it racing down it, but like
but now
you used to be able to fly down that.
yo, one green light,
nothing
you were home.
nothing was better than a drive home at like 10 o'clock on the boulevard or like later than that when nobody was on the road and you could just
Exactly, bro.
but you knew what you were
Once,
doing. You weren't a drunk a-hole. You were just trying to get home. You was completely awake, sober. You just want to get home after a night with the bros.
yeah, one thing I can remember is that I don't think you were there, but it was one night I was with Quinn and it was Euphoria. And he
Yeah, I've
was
never
telling
been,
me
so it definitely wasn't me.
he was telling me just how like the one night we were there, like he saw that I got in my car and left, and he said he got a text message from me like 5 minutes later saying that I was home. And he was like, "Yo, how did you get home?" And I'm most likely sure that was before the changes on the boulevard
Yeah.
because I most likely was just flying on that jump, and I just got home so quick. But yeah, like I
No.
said, one set of green lights sets you all the way down the boulevard. Now it's like you got to look and check every like two like lights to see if there's a camera.
Yeah. And it's just for like you said earlier, my further disdain and hatred for like Philadelphia is just growing worse and worse because all this stuff keeps happening back to back. And then I'm also like I'm meeting new people and talking to new people where they're not from here and they talk about it too. So I'm just like, all right, so it's not like this where you're from. So why is it like this here? What happened here? What went wrong here? Like I don't get it. Talking to people like from New York, like yeah, like Perk and Pray was like the other day. I'm like, yeah, we used to have one. They're like, oh, really? Philly used to have one? What happened? I'm like, people just kept getting shot. I'm just like, yo, why are we like this? New York is a way bigger city. It makes more sense that more people would get shot over there than over here. Why are they okay over there and we're not? Why can they function properly? New Yorkers are supposed to be mean. Why can they function properly and we can't?
You
And then
know what's
they come over here and they say we're meaner than them. And I'm like, I know that, but why?
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? They base off so many things in New York. Like just for one, they base off the whole idea of Batman. It's from
Gotham
New
is
York.
here, bro.
God, yeah, like
Gotham
I
is
don't get
here.
it. Like I don't get it. How is Gotham based off in New York? But somehow it's literally
This is
like
the
this.
real Gotham.
Like literally, I don't get it. How do they base so many terrible things and stories off of New York? But it's not even close to what happens on a daily in Philly.
I feel like if you interview the creator of Batman, And he's like, "Oh, like what made you come up with the idea of Batman and all and Gotham City? Where did that all come from?" So yeah, I'm from New York or whatever. I wrote the story, and then I went over to Philly, and I was like, "Oh, this is a comic. This is a story here." And he was like, "To be honest, New York City is a bigger market. People think U.S. They think L.A., New York, whatever.
Exactly.
So we gonna name Gotham in New York." But we all know it's really in Philly, bro. It's in the
Exactly.
trenches. That's where it's all
Exactly.
from. Batman's actually from Philly. He's from North. We just
He's
can't say
from
that.
North. Exactly. He's from North. He really likes to wear Tims, but
his
still,
his family wasn't actually rich, but it just makes it cool for the story. But we all know where he's really from. And yeah, so that's all I gotta say. I had somebody from New York tell me, he's like, "Yo, this is Gotham." And I'm like, "I know, but why?" And they're like, "Yo, why are y'all so mean? Like, you can't even stare at somebody and something's gonna happen." I'm like, "I know." And I'm not, and like, it's true because I do that. If I'm driving, somebody looks at me in the eye for too long, I get hot on the inside. It's
there's
ingrained
a
in me.
there's a pure anger that
Yeah,
somehow
it's
just
like, yo,
comes
like,
out.
what are you looking at?
What are you?
I could be driving. I'm like, yo, why you make some? And whole time, like, I'm thinking about it from their perspective. I'm like, bro, they just probably looking at the car. They're probably not even looking at me. But in my eyes, you're looking at me in my soul, and it makes my heart hot.
In my eyes, you have a problem with me and you trying
Yeah.
to start
Or
something.
even walking, it's like if I'm walking past somebody and we look each other for longer than a millisecond, I'm like, oh, it's about to go down.
Oh, this is where it's gonna happen. All
Yeah,
right.
like right now. So why is the city like this? What happened to us? Why are we like this as a people?
I don't know. I think it's just like again, it's crazy because New York is a market where it's like, like I said, it's everybody knows about it, whatever. But like Philadelphia is a place where I felt like all the like historical stuff happened. It just
Yeah.
branched out. And I think that's why. I
I
think
think you
I
know what? You
think
might be onto something.
I think that's why. I feel like there's just too much history in
Mm.
this city to where it's like we just are trying to destroy it. And I just think that's
There's
what it is.
there's such an unhinged part of it. Cause like, yo, though, it's not even just like the entire country knows it.
Yeah.
Like there are like they're like even like in sports when they talk about it's like, yo, like, you know, like Dallas fans, they passionate about the Cowboys. New Giants fans, they passionate about the Giants. Or any other franchise, like, yo, they love their team. But Philly, bro, Philly are a bunch of a-holes. Like, yo, they like will beat up random people in their stands, or like they'll like throw stuff at Santa Claus is like the whole crazy thing. Or when the Vikings came here, yo, we ran them out of here after they was talking smack all week. It's like, why is this place so unhinged? And I don't get it, but I love it.
But it
Because it's
fuels
me.
me. But
Because
it
it's
fuels
me.
me. It
And
helps me wake up.
I think it has me prepared for the rest of the world. Like they have no idea.
True.
Like,
I
because like
think
I haven't really traveled that much yet, but I want to, you know what I mean? So if I go to LA or I go to Denver or I go to Texas or whatever, they're just like, I feel like they know. Like I feel like they'll see it. And I'm like, yo, like what's up with boy? He not okay. He not from here. It's like, you're right, I'm not from here.
yeah, I feel like you have one conversation, and you say like, "Oh, I'm from Philly." They give a whole different perspective on you. They give you
The
mad
whole
respect.
bar stops talking and looks. It's like you hear
They
all that usual
all
like
hone in.
commotion.
They all hone in on you now. They're like,
Yeah.
"Damn, yo, we give you some respect, bro. You from Philly?" Like, yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I feel
He's like,
sorry
what's
for
it like, bro? How you get out of
you.
there?
How you get out, bro?
What's it like?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't even know how I got to this point. I
To put
made it
it
out.
to put it into perspective with my background here, Philly is the saltiest platoon, and everywhere else is Weenie Hut General.
Is that how?
There's only smaller versions of it out there because I feel like maybe like Southside Chicago,
I was gonna say yeah,
Detroit. You know
Chicago.
what I mean? Certain, everybody has their bad neighborhoods, but like
Oh,
the entire city is a bad neighborhood.
exactly. You can't
It's
find
so
one.
bad that we live somewhere else and we come work here. Like
Yeah,
people go to like live outside of like deep into PA or like Jersey and just take the drive over,
yeah.
and it's common. I don't know, man. We've been going on for a minute. We're gonna walk up out of here. We'll be back in studio next week. And yeah, anything you want to say before you get out of here, Mark?
Um, next episode, I'll let everybody know more about the trip. But this I felt like was a perfect good topic to kind of come back on because again, it just
It
happened.
just happened.
It just happened, and it kind of got me angry. And clearly, I can see Victor's angry from somebody who also
I was
isn't even
here.
Yeah, he was here. He was here. But also it's funny to see how someone who hasn't lived in Philly for a good amount of time now still has the hatred for
Yeah.
this still has the
I used to
hatred.
defend it, and then as more and more stuff kept happening with, yo, I can't defend this place anymore. It's like I love it, but like y'all, like it's like a relative, or it's like, yo, you just out of pocket. Like obviously, like we blood, but something's wrong with you.
You my cousin, but
Yeah,
like I still can't mess with you.
yeah. I gotta keep my distance. I'll rep it. Somebody talk bad about it, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna defend it. But on the inside, it's like when you like it's you and your significant other and they say something wrong, you know they're wrong, but you just got to stick with them. And then when you're in private, it's like, yo, like, what's your problem? Why you do that? Why are you like this?
So like back there, why the fuck you say
Yeah.
that? Why you do that? Like why you laugh so hard at his jokes? Like it wasn't that funny. Like
Oh
yeah,
man, that's all. We'll be back next week in our usual space. We love you
yes.
guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.